Guys, welcome to the second video of the calorie tracking series. This is a three-part series. Hopefully you've watched video one already. Video two is actually how to track your calories and macros, getting right into the nitty-gritty, and how we actually do the tracking, how the process actually works. Okay, let's get right into it. So I'm going to pull this PowerPoint up. All right, so introduction. What are we going to do today? We're going to get right into it. All right, nitty-gritty and all. Make sure you have your phone ready to go because we're going to be downloading the app, going through it, tour of the app, how to log your food, how to weigh your food, situations that you might get into, how to deal with, eating out, all this stuff that we're going to go through. Have your phone ready to go so you can do the methods and actions as I'm teaching you them, because it's the best way to learn is to do. So if you're doing it as I'm doing it, then you're going to be like, all right, this is how this works. This is how that works. This is how I can do this. This is how I can do that. So that you fully understand the process and you can leave this video retaining all the information that's in it. Because there is a bit to go through, but and that's the second point. I would also recommend having a notepad ready to go to take notes, so you don't have to watch this twice. You only have to watch it once through. There's a bit of content to go through today, but if you are retaining the information, writing notes down, trying it with your phone, maybe pausing the video, giving it a go with your phone, getting some food out and trying to log the food and getting right into it, then you're going to retain the information off the bat and you're going to have the skills you need, okay? So this stuff is not easy to learn. As I mentioned in the last video, this stuff is not easy to learn, but once you've got it, it will change everything, okay? Once you learn how to track your macros and you can know how much calories and macros are going in, and you can train consistently, you can track your macros consistently, you can pretty much have any body composition that you want. You can be in any body shape that you want once you have mastered this skill. Yes, this video might be a bit long, might be half an hour, 45 minutes, but trust me, this information here is almost a decade of information and experience from myself and my brother condensed into a 45-minute video. I think it's going to be about 45 minutes. So I know it's a lot, but instead of going through years of trial and error, all you have to do is watch this one video and then you'll know exactly how to do it, okay? So listen up, really give your attention for the next 45 minutes as if this was, a university lecture or something like that. And trust me, once you know this information, once you can put it into practice, it's going to be so useful in getting you on your way and getting you smashing your body composition goals, okay? Very keen. I hope you're keen. Let's get right into it, okay? All right, overview of today. What are we going to be covering today? We're going to be covering how to download the app, just starting from step one, basic, download it from the App Store. From there all the way through to how to log your food, how to weigh your food, what do you do when you eat out, everything in between, okay? Covers everything. This video has got everything in it. We haven't missed anything. If you can retain all this information, then you'll know exactly how to deal with any situation so that you can still hit your goals. And as I mentioned in the last video, this process allows you to enjoy, I'm going a little bit of a side rant here, but this process allows you to enjoy the foods you're eating and still achieve your goals, okay? So yeah, we cover all this content, okay? So it's how to download the app, get set up, tour of the app. We'll give you a little bit of a tour of MyFitnessPal, which is the app we're using, how to find foods and meals. So how do you actually find the food in the app when you need to log it? Logging the foods you have found and weighed, how to weigh your foods, how to create meals in the app, which are very, very important. It's like a collection of pre-saved ingredients so that you can, if you're eating the same thing every day, you don't have to log every single ingredient every time. You can just log the group, changes everything, makes this process very fast and efficient. And we're going to be covering that as well. How to manually add foods if you can't scan a barcode or look it up in MyFitnessPal. How do you manually add the foods? If you're eating out, how can you manually add a meal as well? How to navigate eating out or bombshell meals. I'm just going to chuck myself up here. How to navigate eating out. So when you go out and have a meal with your friends, how do you still track? Okay. And the guesstimation method as well, which sort of goes hand in hand with that. making educated guesses, if you are backed into a corner and it is, worst case scenario that you do have to guess what you're reading, how do you make the best educated guess possible? Okay, giving yourself the benefit of the doubt, going through all that sort of stuff today as well. So yeah, let's get right into it. A little bit of stuff to cover, but as I said, once we get it done and you understand the full process, it'll be fantastic because you'll have all of the tools that you need that you can not only achieve your goal, but you can take into the future, knowing all of these tools to be able to, at any time in the future, not even just now, but any time in the future, years down the track, if you really want to get in shape for something, you can use this to get in shape. It's just has that kind of power to it. So I definitely recommend it. And we're covering everything today, so we're not leaving any stone unturned. Okay, there's a couple of things that we'll mention in the third video as well, a bit more covering some extra stuff. But today is sort of the nitty gritty about how to use the app and how to, do the basic logging of foods. Okay, so let's get right into it. So step one, downloading MyFitnessPal, starting right at the start. So you need to go to the app, download MyFitnessPal on your phone and create an account. Okay, so you can just pick the free version if you want. You can pick premium. It's a little bit smoother, but not essential. I'd say the free version is just fine. Fill out the details as you are signing up as well. So it'll just be basic stuff, phone, email, password, all that sort of stuff. Keep your email, password, and username. So write all of that down. If you're doing it right now, pause the video, go do all that. And then once you've done it, keep your email, password, and username. Write it down somewhere or put it in your phone somewhere. Message your coach your username. This is going to be really important for the next step. Whatever your username is, message it to your coach right now. So if your coach is me or my brother or someone else, message it to us so that we can send you a friend request, and then we can be friends on MyFitnessPal so that we can communicate with you and we can view what you're eating so that if we have any feedback on what you're eating, we can give you feedback. Okay. The main thing is that you're hitting the numbers, but also from a food quality standpoint, it's good that we can see what you're eating as well, and give you any feedback on that. So that's why it's really useful to have that this app has that function of like becoming friends, seeing what you can eat, seeing what you are eating. Yeah, if you can send that to your coach right now, take action, get it done. Your coach should be able to send a friend request to you, which will show you how to accept that friend request. Okay, so that's downloading. Step two, setting up the app. Okay, so once you're into the homepage, this is what the homepage looks like here. There's a couple of little things that you need to set up. All right, setting your macro and calorie goals, turning step tracker off because it's not important, setting the units, diary sharing, accepting friend requests. So I've got this video here where I'm going to go through how to do all of that. Okay, so this is how you do it. So from the homepage, this is on your dashboard. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be going into more. So the more is like the three dots in the bottom right. And then what you're going to be doing is you're going to be going down to goals. So goals looks like this one here, pressing on goals. And then from there, you're going to be going calorie, carbs, protein, and fat goals, this one here. And then you're going to click on calories and then set that to whatever your coach has told you need to be eating. So maybe they haven't told you yet, but this is how you set it up when you need to set it up. Okay, so you just set whatever that number is, 2,000, 2,500, 3,000, whatever that number is. Whack it in there, and then you press the tick, okay, and then what you want to be doing is pressing on either one of these three, just press on that area, and then it's going to come up with your protein, carb, and fat split. Now, the premium version allows you to put in the exact amount of grams, but it's not 100% important. Like, this is just going to show like bars that come up when you look at how much you've eaten for the day. So you're going to be able to see, even if it's a little bit off, because it's percent, it might be a little bit off. So for example, I'm setting my protein goal. Whatever my protein goal is, I put it up to 30% and it jumps from 125 grams to 150 grams. But my goal might be 135 grams or 140 grams. It's not 100% accurate, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, you just put it as close as you can to that goal. The carbs and fats don't really matter as much. I'd probably say set it so the fat is somewhere between like 50 and 80 grams, and the rest is sort of in carbs, okay? But the carbs and the fat, unless your coach has given you specific carb and fat goals, doesn't really matter as much. The main thing is just that protein, and getting the number as close to your protein target as possible. But as I said, if it's not 100% accurate because it's the percents, it's not the end of the world, okay? But you're just setting it to as close as your goals, as as close to your goals as possible, okay? From there, you're going to set, so you could press the tick and you go back. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go and turn off the step tracker, okay? So we want to turn off the step tracker because this app has a function where it deletes calories off your overall intake, depending on how many steps you do. So we don't want that. I'm going to be tracking your steps anyway, so we've got that process covered of tracking your activity. So all we need this app for, MyFitnessPal has lots of functions, but all that we need it for is using the calorie tool to know how many calories are coming in. We don't need it for anything else. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back. We're going to go back, and we're going to go back again. And then we're going to go down to steps down here. And then we're going to go do not track steps. So that'll turn that off, okay? Then we're going to go back. And then we want to set the units, okay? That's step number 3. So we're going to go down, scroll down to settings. You're going to press on settings, and then you're going to go to profile. And then from the profile, you're going to go down to units, and you're going to set all those units accurately, okay? Kilograms, centimeters, kilometers, calories. Make sure those are all ticked in those ones. You don't want to be counting in kilojoules. You know, if you get calories and kilojoules mixed up, it's going to be a fuckery. So don't make sure these settings are correct, okay? Otherwise, it's going to be pretty interesting. Might be eating like 500 calories a day or something like that. But as long as these are accurate, then we're sweet to go. Just a little setting up thing. Cool. So just make sure they're all accurate. Now we're going back, pressing that back arrow. And then from there, we want to turn on the diary sharing for the coaches like I was talking about before. So we're going to go back, and then we're going to go to diary sharing. So this one here, press on diary sharing. And then from there, you're going to go diary sharing. Oh, that might have been diary settings. And then you're going to go friends only, okay? And then you're going to go back. All right, so that's going to change it so that your friends can see what you're eating. And then what you're going to do from there is go back, and then you're going to go back again. And then you're going to go down to friends, press on friends, a little fiddle, press on friends, and then you're going to go requests, and that's where your coach's request is going to pop up. You're going to go accept, done. Easy, don't need to worry about it anymore, all set up, good to go, okay? And that's it. A little bit of just sort of nitty gritty, you know, just getting this shit out of the way. Now the app's ready to go, fully set up, all the goals are set, step tracker's turned off, bang, units are good, no problems, okay? So that's all set up and done. And make sure you're doing it as this video is going on as well, so you don't have to like come back and do it later, okay? All right, so that's step 2 done. Now, step 3, know your way around MyFitnessPal. So a little tour of the app. You've got 4 sections down here, which, you know, 4 sort of segments of the application. You've got the dashboard, which sort of, this is this one here where, you know, when you open the app, this comes up to the dashboard and it tells you your amount of calories, how many calories you hit for the day, and whatnot. That doesn't really matter. The dashboard, the plans, this one here doesn't really matter, and more, the 3 dots don't matter as well, unless you're going in to change any settings. The one we want to be using is log food, okay? So log food page looks like this. This first one here, that's what we want to be using, okay? All the other 3, they don't really matter. As I said, there's lots of other functions on MyFitnessPal, but we're using this for the sole tool of being able to count our calories, okay? So that's going to be all done in log food, okay? Put simply, you log everything that you eat. I know, right? Wow. But yeah, no, like that's how it kind of works. You basically, every time you're logging food, and we're going to go through how to log food in a second, everything that you eat or drink for breakfast, you go add food, and then you log the food. Lunch, add food, log the food. Dinner, add food, log the food. And snacks as well is the 4th one, add food, log the food, okay? It doesn't really matter which section you put it in. It doesn't really, but it just creates a little bit of organization for you. It's just helpful to have that extra bit of organization, okay? And how to track how to check what your overall macros and calories are for the day as well. So how you do that is in the log food section, you press on this banner up here. So there's a little banner up here. I'll sort of show you on my app that I have here, just through the camera. So I'm just going to quickly show you on my phone. So this is what my diary tab looks like. And there's like little ads that pop up when you have the free version, but don't worry about that. That top banner there, if you press that top banner, there, it's going to come up with a little section like that. And you can sort of see that it has your protein, your carb, and your fat, and other micronutrients that really aren't as important. But you'll just be looking at that orange bar, the purple bar, and I think it's a blue bar as well, which is your carbs. Blue bar? It's like a teal bar, red and green. So that's going to show you your target, so what your goal is, and also what your total is as well. So the total is the thing that really matters. As I said, we're just setting the goals to as close to what your coach recommends you as possible, but you're just trying to get that total to hit whatever your coach gives you. So it's like might be like 170 grams of protein, trying to get that gram amount to hit 170 every single day, okay? So that's how you check your macronutrients as well, okay? Really useful. So that's that. That's step 3, okay? Step 4, how to use the app, logging your food. So first, before you log the food, you've got to find the food on the app, okay? There's a couple of different ways you can do that. So it just varies depending on situation, okay? So you can either log a meal. Let's say you have like a spaghetti bolognese, for example. You can either log the meal by ingredient. So you can log it pasta, mince, sauce, and cheese, like ingredient by ingredient. Or if you're having a combined food, like a lasagna or a burrito bowl or a sushi roll or something like that, you can search that up or scan a barcode if it's like prepackaged and there's a barcode on it. Let's say you go to Woolies and they have a sushi section and usually they have the barcode on it. Like you pick it up and you just scan the barcode and then like that's the meal. And it's just the sushi bowl. It's not like you have to weigh out all of the certain things. Sometimes you do if it doesn't have a barcode. We'll talk about that in a second. But just generally, when it comes to logging food, you can either log it ingredient by ingredient with each individual macro amount. Like pasta's got a macro amount, mince has got a macro amount, sauce has got a macro amount, cheese has got a macro amount, and then you log those ingredients to make your meal, or you can log it as a collective. Okay, you got to know when to log which way, which we'll talk about in just a second, okay? So the first thing you want to do when you're logging food is find it. Find what food you're logging. You can do this 4 different ways, okay? So the 4 different ways you log the food are this, and I've actually got a video to help explain it as well, okay? So the first way you can log it is scanning the barcode. So do this by, hang on, I'll just go back a little bit. So you do this by going into add food. So from the made food section, from the log food section, you go add food, let's say on breakfast, you add food, and then it'll come up in this section here. You want to scan barcode. So you press the scan barcode, and then I'll come up, g'day. You grab, let's say you're having oats in the morning for breakfast. You grab the packet of oats, and you just scan that barcode. Watch this. You scan the barcode, let's say rolled oats. Oh, come on, Kai, just get on with it. So you just press the you hold it over the barcode, and then it's going to come up with the macronutrient split and the calories per serve of that certain ingredient, which is pretty cool. So oats, for example, the serving size is 30 grams. You might be having more or less than that. I'll sort of teach you how to up that or bring it down, but it'll come up with the macronutrient split, which is the most important thing. How many carbs to fat to protein is in that one ingredient, okay? So now you've found the food that you're eating, okay? 114 calories per 30 grams, okay? So that's one way you can find the food. As I said, I'll sort of talk about how you actually log the food in a second, but the first thing we want to think about is just how to find it, okay? So you can either find it by doing that, so scanning the barcode. The second way you can do it is actually by going into the search for food section here, search for food. So let's say you go back, you say add food, and you go search for food up the top in the search tab. Then you just type in oats, Woolworths oats. I go back here and I type in Woolworths, because every oats has a slightly different macronutrient split, and that's why you want to be as accurate as possible. You want to get the actual brand of the food that you're eating, if possible. Obviously, if it's a whole food, that doesn't have a barcode or a nutrient label on it, then you sort of just got to type it up like you're having an onion, for example. You just type in red onion and then weigh the grams and whatever. I'll sort of go through that in a second. But yeah, this is just another way you can find the food. Okay, so you can search it up. Let's say like fruits and vegetables. That's something you can't really scan with a barcode, so you would search it up. Okay, so this is how it would work. So if it has a barcode, or if the food doesn't have a barcode but it does have a nutrient label, which is pretty rare. Usually foods will have let's say a packet of I don't know, sultanas or something like that, doesn't have a barcode, but it has a nutrient label. Then what you can do is you can just search it up. You can just search it up, like this is oats, for example, oats Woolworths, and you can go into it, cross-check the label if there is a label, just make sure that those amounts are right, and then you can go through and log your food from there. But that's how you find it, by searching the food up as well. Okay, and that's sort of how you'd find foods from restaurants as well, which we'll sort of go through in a second, by using that way of finding the food. Okay. You can also find through food by using a pre-made group of ingredients, which we'll touch on a little bit later, which is called a meal. So what you'll do is you'll go back and you'll go add food, my meals here, and you can pre-make meals, which we'll go through in a second, which is really, really important and saves you a lot of time. So you would go my meals. So there's lots of different options here. You go my meals, and then you'd go down and you'd press on whatever meal you're having, and then log it from there. Okay, so that's another way you can sort of find foods. And then the last way is by adding foods manually as well. So if the food doesn't have a barcode and you can't find it on MyFitnessPal, but you know the nutrients because you've searched them up online, or it has a nutrient label, then you can go create food. So you can go my food's up here. You go create a food. We go back. My food's up here. Create a food, and then you can actually go through and you can put, if this is, the chicken bowl from Guzman and Gomez. This is what the calories and macros are because I've searched them up online, and then actually add that to my MyFitnessPal database as well. So that's another way you can find food as well. So that's useful in certain situations. Okay, which I'll go through in a second. Okay. Most of the time, you'll be either scanning the barcode or just searching it up in the tab if it doesn't have a barcode. Okay, so that is how you find your food. After you've found your food, you'll have to log your food that you found. Okay, check myself there. Log the food that you found. So it's either going to be a pre-portioned product, or it's going to be, or you're going to have to weigh it, or you're going to have to use the guesstimation method. So the pre-portioned product is really, really easy. So that's like sausages that are pre-packaged already. You just scan the barcode. I'm having 2 sausages, bang, log, done. Eggs, I'm having 2 eggs, a scoop of protein, it's already pre-portioned, 5 crackers, you just put, scan the barcode, 5 crackers, good to go, 2 slices of bread. Really easy, you don't have to weigh the food out. But most of the time you probably will have to weigh whatever you're having out, okay? So this would be like meat or milk or sort of anything like oats, like berries, like fruit, all that sort of stuff. You're going to have to weigh out most of the time, and I'll sort of go through how to weigh in a second as well. A little more difficult, but as I said, I'll teach you the most efficient ways to do it, okay? So that's another way you can log the food once you've found it, and then the guesstimation method as well, which we'll talk about later. So once you've found the certain food that you're having, you can log it through the guesstimation method, which I'll talk about very soon, okay? But the main 2 things are up here: pre-portioned product or weigh the food, okay? So weighing food. So if a food is not pre-portioned, like a sausage or an egg or something like that, which is most of the time, you'll have to weigh it out. You will need kitchen scales for this, so you'll need to get some kitchen scales. You can just get some from Kmart or Target or whatever. Get some quality ones if you can. I sort of have some cheaper ones, and I've had a couple break on me, so I just decided to get some quality ones, so I wouldn't have to reuse them. So you can get some quality ones, and you want it to measure up to a few kilos, not one of the micro measurement ones, because there are scales that only measure up to like 1 kilo, for example. If you're having more than a kilo worth of food, which is pretty rare, but if you're doing like meal prep, that's probably going to be the case. Like, you're going to have to weigh out the food as a total. Then you want one that goes up to a couple of kilos and in that sort of measurement range. Okay. And the last thing you want to be considering when you're weighing is AUG. Always use grams. Very, very important. I see people using measuring cups or tablespoons or cup or whatever. So I said, not measuring cups, no tablespoon this, no cup that. You want to use grams. Okay, always use grams, because if you do a tablespoon of peanut butter, that could be 100 calories or it could be 250 calories. If it is a calorie dense food like that, then it could be a really big difference if you're not actually weighing it out. Okay, so you always want to use grams for things when you're weighing it out. So you'll need scales rather than using measuring cups or anything like that. Okay, so always use grams. Trust me, people can be wildly inaccurate with their tracking if they don't use grams and they use teaspoons and tablespoons and measuring cups and stuff. So always use grams. I've said it 5 times, but it's important. Okay, so weighing food using scales. So when you're using your scales, make sure you always are pressing 0 when you're putting the food in a bowl or taking it out of a container. So let me explain. So there are 2 ways that you can find out the weight of a certain food. So I'm going to play this video to explain as I go. So you can put the bowl that you are using on the scales, press 0, so it's 52 is the amount of the weight of the plate. You press 0, then you get your rolled oats, for example, and then you put that on top, and then that's going to show the grams of the rolled oats, 33 grams. Okay, so that's one way you can weigh your food. Pretty just normal way of weighing food. Okay, nothing special. But there is a second way you can do it, which is where you put whatever you're weighing, the oats, milk, oil, whatever, you put it on the scales, and then you press 0. I only found this out a couple of months ago. Press 0, and then you take it off, and then you put it in a plate. And then you put it back on the scales, and it'll show you negative weight, how much you've poured out, 23 grams you've poured out, which is pretty cool. Because if you're let's say, for example, you're putting oil in a pan when you're cooking up spaghetti. I keep using spaghetti bolognese as an example. I don't know. I've got spaghetti bolognese on my mind. Got to have that for dinner tonight. But let's say you're using oil when you're cooking your spaghetti bolognese. You're not gonna put the pan on the scales and try and weigh it out. What you want to do is you put the oil on the scales, press 0, and then put the oil in the pan, and then put the oil thing back on the scales, and it'll show you in negative weight how much weight is coming out of that. Okay, so that's another way you can do it. So depending on the situation, use either one of those methods, either putting the bowl on the scales and putting stuff on it, or putting whatever the stuff is on the scales and then putting that on your plate. Okay, up to you. Up to you which method you want to use, and it just depends on the scenario. Okay, so that's the 2 ways you can weigh your food. All right, so logging the food once you've weighed it. So once you've weighed the food and you understand, I've weighed my oats. I know I've got 35 grams of oats in my container. From there, you want to make sure that you're logging it properly. So this is how you do it. So when you're logging the weight of a certain food, if the serving size that it pre-selects when you scan the barcode of that certain food isn't exactly what you're having, which it probably won't be most of the time, you will need to change it to 1 grams, and then where it says servings, add the amount of grams you're having. So watch this video. This is what it looks like. Okay, so let's say you go add food, and you go scan barcode, and you do your oats, trusty oats, and you scan the barcode on the oats, once it comes up to this section here, it says serving size and number of servings. So let's say I'm having more than 30 grams of oats. Like, what do? You go press on the serving size, press on the 30 grams, and then you go 1 gram. So it'll say select units, press 1 gram down the bottom, and then the number of servings, you change that to the amount of grams you're having. So let's say you're having 100 grams of oats. It's 100 servings of 1 gram. And that's how you do that. So you can get the accurate number of grams that you're having of that select certain ingredient. Okay? So that is how you log the food once you've weighed it. Okay? So after that, you log the food, and then you're good to go. Raw weight versus cooked weight. So I thought I might touch on this as well, because the weight of the food, sometimes people can get this wrong, okay, where they do the barcode of like the meat that they're cooking, and then they weigh their cooked steak, but it's actually the macronutrients are according to raw. So if you find yourself in this situation, you want to be weighing raw food if you can, because it's a little bit more accurate than cooked, because cooked food just depends on like how much you cook it, what you cook it with, how much like liquid or oil it soaks up. Like, it's much more accurate if you weigh it out raw, and then cook it and then just have it. You don't need to weigh it out after you've cooked it. But you can also, if it's already cooked and you just forgot to weigh it, or someone else cooked it or whatever, you can weigh the cooked food as well. But it's good that you know this. If you've got a notebook, write this down. So I'll just go through this first. You can log cooked weight by doing one of the 2 methods. Okay, so if it is cooked as well, you can either translate it back to raw and then put the amount of grams, or you can do this this sort of follow this rule of thumb here. So you can either search up the cooked version of the food in the search bar. So let's say you have chicken breast, for example, and you just search up chicken breast cooked. You can log that. And then just do the amount of, you just weigh the cooked food and then do the amount of grams. Or you can use the cooked weight. So let's say you weigh that cooked chicken breast, and then you can back calculate it to the amount of raw grams it is. Okay. So for example, like you have a steak, all right, you have a steak and you weigh, 6 ounces of cooked steak up, then you would find out what 25% of 6 ounces of cooked meat, minus 25%, so a little bit more, of cooked meat is, and it would be 8 ounces, and then you'd log that as raw, okay, as raw meat, okay. So general rule of thumb here is 6 ounces of cooked meat, general cooked meat, steak meat, chicken, pork, all those sort of meats are 25%. They lose 25% of their weight when you cook them, okay? So the calculation is times 0.75 cooked to raw equals cooked weight divided by 0.75, okay? So raw potato loses 25% of its weight when it's cooked, okay, when it's baked. Uncooked rice, okay, so uncooked rice gains double its weight when it's cooked. I find it's more like 2.5. So 100 grams of raw rice when cooked becomes about 250 grams, I'd say. 200 to 250 grams. As I said, it's better to weigh it out raw because you're not sure how much water is going to be retained by that rice. You can guess, but the more accurate way is just to weigh it out when it's raw. Weigh the rice out when it's raw, and then just cook it. Raw pasta gains about 2.5 times when it's cooked as well. Just so you know, write it down. Just so you understand. So you can either, like for example, if there's a label on the raw pasta, you can just scan the label and it'll come up with the raw weight. And then let's say you've got 250 grams of pasta on your plate. You can just go, all right, that's 100 grams is times 2.5. So that would be 250 grams of cooked pasta. All right, I'm going to put 100 grams of raw pasta in there because there's 250 grams of cooked pasta on my plate. Okay, so you can do that calculation if you need to do the calculation. Okay, So that's the general rule of thumb when it comes to raw versus cooked weight. A little bit confusing, but once you understand how that sort of works, then you can be as accurate as possible when you are logging your food, okay? All right, meals on MyFitnessPal. So this is really, really important. This is going to save you so much time when you're logging your food on a daily basis, because most of us sort of eat the same foods every day, okay? We pretty much eat the same thing every day, so we don't want to be logging each individual ingredient every single day. What you can do is you can pre-make a group of ingredients and then just log it day to day, so that it just speeds up your the time it takes to log the food, and then you can just adjust the ingredients depending on, if you've had a little bit more of something or a little bit less of something one day, okay? So yeah, it makes it drastically easier and faster. Meals are pre-saved grouping of foods and amounts that you can create. Most people eat basically the same rotation of food, and therefore by having lots of meals in your MyFitnessPal, like if I go to meals in MyFitnessPal, I've got heaps of meals in here. So these are my meals, and I've got heaps of them pre-saved there, so that when I'm gone, I can just go, all right, I had oats for breakfast, I had my beef bowl for lunch, and I had, spaghetti bolognese for dinner. And these are the snacks that I had. Like I even have a pre-saved grouping of snacks with like fruit and all that sort of stuff in it. So it just makes it super easy, and then I can just adjust and tinker depending on, if I did or didn't had some more stuff or had some less stuff on that particular day. Okay. So yeah, save so much time. These meals, this is massive. Okay. This takes so much of the pain out of tracking. So how you actually do it, is you want to, go to meals. So you go add food. And then you go to My Meals. So you slide across to My Meals, you go create a meal, and then you want to go name the food. So let's say I'm going to do a full creation of an overnight oats meal here. It's a bit fast, but I'll sort of try and keep you up as we go. So let's say you name it overnight oats, and then you go add meals. And then from there, I'm going to scan barcode. So I'll just do the scan barcode function. I scan my oats. Bang. I change that to 1 grams like I showed you just before. I change this to 1 grams, and then I go, let's say 50 grams of oats. Bang, that's how much I'm going to be putting in my oats in the morning. And then from there, I'm going to scan my protein powder. So I scan the protein powder that I'm going to use. It's already pre-selected, like the serving is already 34 grams, which is 1 scoop. So I don't have to weigh that out. I just scoop it in, so it's pre-portioned, which is great. So I just chuck that in. Then I just go scan barcode, scan my strawberries. That's going to come up. I change the gram amount to, let's say you're having 100 grams of strawberries. Done, added, scan barcode, do my blueberries as well. Let's say I am having 100 grams, so it's already on 100 grams. Don't have to change it to 1 gram and then put it to 100, because it's already, the serving size is already 100 grams. Bang, that's added. And then you go scan the barcode of yogurt. I'm using yogurt as well. Change the gram amount. So you press that, press 1 grams. Let's say I'm using 150 grams. Bang. Press the tick in the top right, and that's added, okay? Then I'm going to go scan the barcode again, use my almond milk, bang, 250 mils. Let's say I'm using that, don't have to change it back to a mil and then add, the amount of mils. It's already 250 mils, bang, good to go. And then that's it. That's my collection of ingredients that's already pre-selected. So you can sort of scroll down and have a look at all the stuff that's in it. You can see how many calories is in that meal overall, how many carbs, fat, and protein is in that certain meal, and then you just go save in the top right, and then bang, overnight oats, saved. So if you have that every morning, all you have to do in the morning is just go overnight oats, tick, bang, done. You will still have to weigh the food out, like you'll still have to weigh it out when you make your oats, just to make sure that your amounts are right, and you might weigh it out for a couple of weeks, and then after that, you're sort of like, all right, I'm doing this every night. I kind of know that this amount is about 50 grams of oats. This amount is about 100 grams of strawberries. This amount is about 250 mils of almond milk. Like, you don't have to weigh it out, week after week, month after month, but definitely for the first couple of weeks of making a meal over and over again, I would highly recommend weighing it out, okay, on a day-to-day basis, okay? So, as you can see here, I have a collection of different meals that I use on a day-to-day basis to save me lots of time, okay? So yeah, and once you've logged that certain meal, you can just adjust these certain amounts as well as you need to if it's a little bit different depending on the day, okay? Takes a bit of time to add the meals, but once you've got a big database, it just makes it so easy because you can just, pre-select what you're eating for the day and then bang, like you put in your breakfast, lunch, snacks, and then dinner might change every day. So you've got this amount of calories to have for dinner, and if you're having a dessert as well, you have this amount of calories left over, okay? So even if you're having a grouping of foods, you would usually, so with this one, it doesn't have to be a certain meal. It can just be like a grouping of foods. So let's say like you have supplements every day, like fish oils and like, pre-workout and, a protein powder and some fruit that you have just sort of every day. Then you can just have that as like a snacks sort of package grouping. And then you can just have that as a meal, and you just press go and tick rather than adding each individual snack. Like if you have the same snacks every day, I know it's not really like a meal, like it's just lots of little snacks. You can just package that up and then press that. So that's what I do. Like I have a snacks thing called like pre-workout and snacks, and then I just go add food on the snacks, and then I just tick it, and then bang, they're all my snacks that I have for the day. Don't have to like put it in every single day. Okay. So any sort of grouping of ingredients you can use meals for. Meals versus recipes. So if you go to add your food, it says next to my meals, it says my recipes. I don't really use my recipes that much, but the only time you sort of would use it is if you're doing meal prep and you're weighing out, let's say you're making 10 portions of beef and rice, or beef and rice and veggies or something like that. Or maybe like spaghetti bolognese, I don't know. Let's say you're making like 10 portions of it. How recipes works is you just put the overall amount of pasta. So I might use like, a kilo of pasta. I might use a kilo of mince. I might use, 2 onions for the whole thing. I might use this amount of cheese for the whole thing. And then you put that in as a full group, like as a big thing that you cook up. And then you just divide it by the amount of you just put in the amount of servings in that recipe. So it might be 10, you just put in 10, and then it'll divide it for you. Okay, you can do that in meals as well. You just do the dividing by yourself. Like if you are doing meal prep and doing a big prep, you can just divide it yourself as well. And so that when you go to select it, you just select one serving of it, and it'll come up as a pre-divided certain meal from those overall portions that you were using from your meal prep. Okay. In terms of weighing, I would definitely recommend meal prepping. Meal prepping with meals is a good combination because you won't sort of have to weigh the food, and you won't have to sort of add it every day. You just sort of go the meal and then bang, like I've got, 4 beef and rices in the fridge that are already pre-weighed out, and pre-portioned out. And I've also got it in MyFitnessPal. So all I need to do, I don't need to weigh it out. All I need to do is just grab it when I'm heading off for the day, and then press log in my lunch, and then bang, it's good to go. I don't have to weigh it out or scan barcodes or anything like that. So I definitely recommend getting into a bit of a meal prepping routine, which we will talk about later. Okay. All right. Not long to go now. So, manually adding food. So this is, that's grandma. That's not my grandma, but someone's grandma. We're going to go through that in a second. So manually adding foods. Okay, so this is like if you get into these situations, which I'm going to talk about in a second, there's a way you can add food on the app where you put in your own calories, macros, protein, carbs, and fats for a certain thing. Okay, so what you do is, to do this, you go add food, my food, create food, and then you fill out the details. So it looks like this. So you go add food, and then you go here to my foods. Oh, hang on, this is a different video which I'll sort of go through in a second. But you would go my foods, and then it would be, and then it would go, hang on, and then it would go add foods, and then you would just select like what the overall macros and whatnot is for that meal. Okay, so manual adding foods. Let's just go through the scenarios. So when you can't find food when you scan the barcode, so you can't scan a barcode and it doesn't come up, or it doesn't have a barcode or a nutrient label. Well, like let's say it does have a nutrient label. What you'll do is you'll go add the food, and then you just enter whatever is on the nutrient label into MyFitnessPal as a new food, and then that goes into the database as well. So like you're having a certain chocolate that isn't on there, then you can just go scan the barcode. It'll say it's not on MyFitnessPal, and then you can go and you can create it, all right, so that you can have that in the database. So you can manually add the food onto the MyFitnessPal database, and that's pretty much number 2 as well. Okay, if you do scan a barcode and you cross-check the label, so let's say you scan your chocolate and you cross-check the label and the macros and calories aren't right, like the split isn't right, then obviously the food has changed from what it was originally, what the original logging is in the app. So what you'll do is you'll go, when you do log it, it'll say, is this food correct? You press on that and you say no, and then you put in what it actually is, and then you say go, and that actually helps MyFitnessPal out, because obviously that food's changed its macros or whatever, and so the macros will be more accurate. It'll be what that food is. So you scan your chocolate, the macros on MyFitnessPal aren't the same as what they are on the nutrient label. You just change it up like that. Just follow these steps and change it up, and then you're going to have a more accurate calories, protein, and carbs and fats ratio. Okay. Number 3 of why you would need to manually add foods: if you go to a restaurant, okay, and they have a certain meal item. For example, you go to Guzman and Gomez and you get a chicken burrito bowl, and nobody has logged it yet on the app. Like if you search up Guzman and Gomez chicken burrito bowl and it's not on the app yet, then this is how you would log it. Okay, so let's have a little look in here. So I've actually made a video about this. So if you go search it up, so you search up chicken burrito bowl, GYG for Guzman and Gomez, GYG, and you search it up, and it says chicken burrito bowl, but you want to cross check it. You want to make sure that that's actually correct. How you do that is you go onto the website of wherever that is. So it's Guzman and Gomez, for example. You go onto the website and you go into the nutrient. A lot of restaurants will have like a nutrition information. If they don't, you're going to have to guess, which I'll go through in a second. But if they do, have a little look on the nutrition label. So you go download the nutrition guide. So nutrition analogies, download the nutrition guide, and then you scroll down, and then you're going to be able to find that nutrient information. You go in there, you find the nutrient information, the energy. So it says here your calories, your protein, your fat. It over here has the carbs as well. So you cross check it. So it's 663 calories. The option that came up in MyFitnessPal was 707. So obviously it's not right. You're going to have to add it. All right. So what you do is you go create food, and then you go brand name, chicken burrito bowl, Guzman and Gomez chicken burrito bowl. I don't actually go and do it, but it'd be, description, chicken burrito bowl, serving size, 1 bowl, serving a number, 1, and then you'd go through and you'd put through how much protein it is from the website, how much protein, how many carbs, how much fat, and how many calories, and then you just log it, and it comes up on the app every time you search for it, and other people can search it up as well. So it actually helps out the MyFitnessPal community as well. So that is how you would log foods manually from restaurants if they're on the nutrition guide on the internet, and they're not on the app yet. But if there's no nutrition guide and you have no idea how many calories is in the thing that you're eating when you go out to eat, then you got to guess, which I'll talk about in a second. Okay, so that's number 4, like the guesstimation method to log bombshell meals or eating at a restaurant that you have no idea how many calories it is. So that leads us to the last one. The last way of logging your food, which is when you're eating out or there's a bombshell meal. And what I mean by bombshell meal is if you get home from a long day of at work or whatever, and you get home and grandma's made a big cheesy lasagna. I call this a bombshell meal. She just serves it up like that. You have no time to weigh or whatever. You've got to use the guesstimation method. Okay, so this is basically where I'll talk about it in a second, but you don't want to be using. It's basically where you guess. You don't want to be using this guesstimation method very often. Just on occasion where you have to guess, it's better than nothing. It can be wildly inaccurate, but I'll show you how to make it as accurate as possible. but it's better than nothing. It's better than not logging anything, okay? All right, that's not my grandma, by the way, I don't know. So the guesstimation method. So make an educated guess that basically gives you the benefit of the doubt, okay? So to make an educated guess, you got to go into the search bar of MyFitnessPal, search up what you're eating, have a look at 10 to 20 options of, let's say you have lasagna, search up beef lasagna, look at like 10 to 20 options, sort of get a sense for where the macros and calories are sitting, and then create, you can create a new meal, like manually add a new meal and then put in how many calories, protein, and carbs and fats you think are in it. If you feel like, what you search up in the search tab isn't right, you're like, oh yeah, this one looks pretty close, but there's probably a little bit more protein in it, then you can manually add it. But what you can also do is just look at 10 to 20 options when you search it up in the search bar, and then find one that just sort of looks the most accurate in terms of, oh yeah, this has got a lot of beef in it, so I reckon it's got a lot of protein in this lasagna. So I reckon this one, which is a little bit higher protein, is probably about right. And you can even just search up on the internet quickly, what are the average calories and macros in a lasagna, and it'll sort of tell you on average on the internet like what it could be. It can be very inaccurate, but it's better than nothing, okay? And depending on your goal, you always want to give yourself the benefit of the doubt as well. So for example, you go to sushi and you get a salmon and avocado poke bowl. I've looked on MyFitnessPal and they don't have the specific restaurant bowl. So Sushimura, for example, you have like a salmon and avocado poke bowl, and you search up salmon and avocado poke bowl Sushimura, and it's just not there. What do I do? And then you look on the internet, there's no nutrition information. What do? I'll just search up MyFitnessPal, salmon and avocado poke bowl, and you just scroll down, have a look at 10 to 20 options, generally get a sense for the calories. The calories might average be like, 500, 600, 700 calories for it. And you basically, what you want to do then is you can either create a meal on MyFitnessPal, or you can just sort of use a general one that you've searched up. And you want to give yourself slightly, you want to give yourself the benefit of the doubt. So if your goal is to be in a calorie deficit, make the meal just a little bit sort of more calories than you think. Or if you're trying to like put on weight, you're trying to be in a calorie surplus, make the meal a little bit smaller than what you sort of generally think. So give yourself the benefit of the doubt just in case. You'd rather, if you're in a calorie deficit, you'd rather go under your calories than over your calories. So sort of give yourself the benefit of the doubt. Let's say the average for a salmon and avocado poke bowl is 700 calories. So find one that's like 850, 900 calories, and then just log that, okay? So just to be on the safer side, that's what I mean by giving yourself the benefit of the doubt. So yeah, slightly on the higher side if your goal is weight loss, log the food, and then you are good to go. So this is how it would look like. So let's say you go salmon and avocado poke bowl, and then pretty much from there, you go down and you just look at all the options. There's 880, 800, 500, 400, 200. This can be very inaccurate. 172. Find one that's like about right. So this one's about 800. So it's a little bit on the higher side. All right. I'm just going to log this. If the protein's about right, bang, you can log your food. Or you can go in and manually add it and put in all the protein, carbs, and fats manually. If you have like an idea of like, oh, I reckon this has got like 35, 40 grams of protein in it, but I can't find any that sort of fits that, you can just manually add it as well. But if you find one, you're like, oh yeah, this one sort of looks about right, I'm giving myself the benefit of the doubt here, bang, I'm making a guess that this one's around what I'm eating, bang, I'm putting that in. Okay, so if you go to like a restaurant, you have a pizza, and you just search up pizza on MyFitnessPal, pizzas can be quite a few calories, like it can be 1,000 to 2,000 calories. Find one where you give yourself the benefit of the doubt, and then you log it from there. Okay, guesstimation method. It can be wildly inaccurate, but it's definitely better than nothing for sure. All right, recap of the day. That's it for the day. Today, this is what we've covered, just to go through it. So how to download the app and get set up, tour of the app, how to find certain foods and meals. So you want to find the food first. You want to find the meal first. How to log what you've found, or weighed, how to actually log the food. Take it to 1 gram and put the amount of grams in it. How to actually weigh your food. So always use grams, never use like tablespoons, like cups, all that sort of stuff. Always use your grams, use your scales, weigh the food. How to create meals using the app. So that's what we covered in our meals as well today. You know, how to manually add foods if you need to manually add foods through the guesstimation method, or if you need to manually add something that isn't in MyFitnessPal. If you're eating out, or you know, you found it on the website, but you need to add it in because the macros aren't accurate. Then you can manually add foods as well if you need to, and how to navigate eating out and bombshell meals as well, because that's super important. You know, you're not always going to be put in the perfect scenario where you can weigh your food and know all that. So this is how, just what I talked about with the guesstimation method, that is how you best navigate those scenarios. Give yourself the benefit of the doubt. Ultimately, it is guess and it can be inaccurate, but it is definitely better than nothing. Chuck that in, and then just roll with it. You know, you might go over the amount of calories, but you know, it's at least you've given yourself the benefit of the doubt. Okay. So that is what we've covered today. If you have any questions about this, please message your coach. I'm sure you have, you know, some questions here and there. If you have any questions, you know, write them down on your pen and paper right now, and then just sort of send them through to your coach. And then your coach can make a video, or in your next check-in, or whether it's me or someone else, in your next check-in, we can answer all those questions, and make sure you fully understand this process. Okay, so this is video 2. It took me a little bit longer than I thought it would, 56 minutes, but I feel like we covered a lot today. As I said, if you can retain as much of this information as possible, then that'd be really, really good, because once you've got these tools, you know, you're unlocking the door to be able to have whatever body composition you want. Okay. So that's that. Let us know if you have any questions about it at all. And I will see you in the next video, in video 3, where we're just going to be going into a little bit more depth about counting calories. Okay. Let us know if you have any questions, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.